Hello, it's Jimmy. Today I want to talk about whether you need a financial advisor or not. I happen to use a hybrid approach. I have a significant portion of my retirement assets with a financial advisor, but I also do a fair amount of investing on my own. There are some rather strong opinions on both sides of this issue. I know that there are a fair number of people that say financial advisors are a complete ripoff. They're going to eat into your gains. Some of them, at worst, are crooks, and that they don't really do anything for you. I certainly don't believe that. I've had a financial advisor in one form or another since I started investing at the age 21. Now, I've had a varying degree of success with some of these advisors, but as I learned on my own and grew in knowledge, I was able to find now a good advisor who works well within the parameters that I have and is really more of a teacher than somebody who is taking control of my money. One of the traits of a good advisor is they will keep you grounded when the market is shifting. They don't really want you jumping in and out of the market. So if you know that that's a tendency that you might have, an advisor is probably going to be the way for you to go for most of your assets. Of course, an advisor who is using an AUM model or assets under management is going to get their fee from the percentage of assets that you have invested with them. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that model. Some people say, well, that eats into your gains, but really a good advisor is going to put you in good funds that you should be outperforming the general marketplace. And that would be if you're doing it on your own and knowing that you're probably not likely to stay put, hopping in and out of the market at the wrong times. That advisor will make up for those losses no problem. So, of course, an advisor is going to have a vested interest in keeping you put, not letting you jump in and out of the market. Another reason you may want to use a financial advisor or broker dealer is that they can sometimes have access to funds that aren't available to the general public or over the counter funds. There was a family of funds that I thought would align very nicely with my investing goals, and they were at that time only available through certain broker dealers. So I researched and found a firm that could handle my needs and use the funds that I really wanted to use. Now, how do you find a financial advisor? Well, I'd ask people that you trust who they use and why they use them. If you get somebody that says, oh, yeah, old Fred here at church, he's been managing our mutual funds for years. He's great. Well, find out why. It may just be proximity is the only reason that they picked old Fred, and perhaps he is not great at what he does. So ask that question. Well, why do you like this person? What type of gains have you seen? Do you think that the fees are very high? Questions like that. Well, once you have a few names in pocket, go ahead and interview those folks. If they're legit, they will be happy to sit down and talk to you and see if your goals line up with what they offer. I had one interview with an investment advisor who was very nice. We got along personally just fine, but his style of investing for his clients was way out of range of what I wanted to do. And that's fine. He just offered a completely different style. Nothing wrong with that, but it was good to interview him to know that, okay, we get along as people, and I can certainly recommend him to folks if they ask, but I don't use him just because of the style of investing that he does. No matter who you go with, always do a check on FINRA's website to make sure that they are a legitimate dealer and that they aren't barred. FINRA is the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. Thought it was association. I had to look it up. It is the authority. Strangely, they aren't a government body, but they do work very closely with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Just as you probably wouldn't want to take advice from a doctor who lost their license to medical malpractice, you don't want to take financial advice from somebody who lost their license for malpractice. If you do go and noodle around on the FINRA website, I'll let you just kind of search that out on your own. there's a lot of good information for investors there. Not only are you doing a compliance check for people, but you can do some of the research on your own as far as what types of investing style you might be into, and even just basic financial literacy. They have a good wealth of information on that website. Wealth of information, no pun intended. Well, if you do decide to go on your own and self manage your retirement funds, make sure you know what you're doing. And there are plenty of people that are very well equipped to do that on their own. There's nothing wrong with doing it. I would say if you're just a cheapskate and you don't want to part with any of your money, you probably are going to part with a lot more of it if you are solely looking at costs. Now, I would obviously stay away from advisors and broker dealers who are charging more than 1%. Some people know their investing styles and what their discipline level is, and they'll stay in the market when things get a little crazy. But if you don't have that, don't totally avoid using an advisor. If you want to self manage your retirement, great. I hope you're disciplined and you're able to do research on your own. If you know that you're willing to accept a down market and stay in when times are tough, great. If you've never actually experienced that, it's a little hard to stomach sometimes. Last few months, the US stock market has been a little nuts. And I haven't wavered from it because I've built up a long term muscle to just stay put. However, I can certainly understand where people would freak out, sell everything, and then want to try to get back in the market, which has had a huge upswing this last part of this month. Even if you want to self manage your money, you should still have some people you can talk to about it. Now, there are some fee only advisors that are willing to sit down, talk to you. It's best if you can maybe use the same person who's willing to do that. I equate it to kind of going to different doctors who don't know your whole health history. You may not get the best advice because they don't have the whole picture and they don't know you. The advisors that we've been working with for the last several years know us quite well and know our investing styles. Really, I think it's best to kind of stay with the same firm long term that knows your history. Now, if they do something stupid, don't just stay because that's what you've always done. Even if you decide to work with an advisor, you are in control of your money. It's up to you to direct what happens with it. Advisors work for you. Even if you choose to work with an advisor, ultimately you are in control of your money. The advisors are there to help and offer suggestions, but if you think you can just throw all the cash at them, not have a care in the world, that is not safe and it's not good. You want to know what your money is doing. If they are changing funds on you and putting you in weird things that you don't approve of or messing with your portfolio and you don't like that, not a good reason to stay with them. My advisors don't really move anything around. They have offered some suggestions when things have gotten out of balance. Just the way the markets go sometimes. That's a normal thing. But they talked to me first before they did it. I was fine with it. I took in their suggestion and it's like, yeah, this makes sense. This is more in line with what I want to do. So we moved some money around. But they weren't doing it on their own. They were working in consultation with me. It's ultimately my money anyway. Using a financial advisor does not absolve you of the knowledge that you still need to possess to take care of your money. That's all I've got to say on working with a financial advisor. Obviously, I am not strongly in one camp or another that you absolutely need to have everything with an advisor or you shouldn't use them at all. I have a hybrid approach and it works great for me. You have to understand your own risk tolerances and your knowledge to come up with your decision. But I would be cautious of people that are saying 100% to do one thing or the other. Do your research and go with what you're comfortable with. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope you're having a great day.